In 1948, legendary coach John Wooden was at a crossroads in his career. He received head coaching offers from the University of Minnesota and from UCLA. John and his wife Nellie both agreed that Minnesota would be their top choice so they could be close to family in the Midwest. John had one request though, and he asked Minnesota if he would be able to choose his coaching staff. Minnesota said they needed some time to think about it, but they would give him an answer one way or the other by 6 p.m. that Sunday. 6 p.m. on Sunday came around, John was waiting by his phone, but it didn't ring. An hour later at 7, UCLA reached out with their offer. Even though John would have rather gone to Minnesota, since they hadn't called, he figured they weren't interested anymore, and he accepted the offer from UCLA. A half hour later, the phone rings again. It's Minnesota calling, saying they agree to John's request. They were unable to call at 6 because there was a blizzard that came through the Twin Cities, knocked out the telephone wires. They had been without reception for over an hour. But John had already given his word to UCLA, and he chose to stand by it. Now here's John. He would have much rather been at Minnesota, closer to family, closer to the Midwest where him and his wife had grown up. But John and his wife make the move to LA. He could have given up. He could have spent time wondering about what could have been. He could have taken out his frustration at the people around him, but instead he made the most of the situation. He gave everything he had to his players, to his coaches, to the program, and as a result, he became the most successful NCAA basketball coach in history. His teams with the Bruins won over 650 games, 10 national championships, the greatest coach in college basketball, and arguably, John Wooden could be one of the greatest coaches of any sport ever. And it's ironic that his great career at UCLA, it started by accident. I'm willing to bet that if he had gotten that call from Minnesota at 6 p.m. like he expected, things would have turned out very differently. I think we can all relate to Coach Wooden's experience because we all have plans in our life for how we want things to turn out, but very often it doesn't work out that way. There's a saying in the military that a plan never survives contact with the enemy. I feel like you could generalize that to say a plan never survives contact with everyday living. There's always going to be factors out of our control that are going to knock us off course from our plan. And how we react to those situations is going to make a difference. We could beat ourselves up, throw in the towel, dwell on what could have been, or like Coach Wooden, we can make the most of the situation even though it's not what we wanted or planned for. When I came into college, my goal was to walk onto the cross-country team so I could fulfill my dream of being a D1 athlete. I spent the summer before training harder than I had ever trained in my life. I came in that fall semester, ran a few collegiate races, and even though I was in the best shape of my life, I had done everything I could have possibly done, it was clear I was not going to make the cut. I didn't make the team, and I had a choice. I could beat myself up, I could dwell on what could have been, but instead I decided to make the most of the situation. There was a running club on campus, I got involved with that, I was elected president, and I stayed in that role from freshman year through to the end of my senior year. I was able to run a marathon during my time at Bradley, and in addition to that, I was able to build up the club while I was there. By my senior year, our membership had tripled. My senior year, we had 4 members run their first marathon, and as of last April, our running club has won the Illinois Marathon Relay 3 years in a row, beating out over 100 teams each year to do so. It's funny when I reflect on this, because I never wanted to be involved in the running club. I wanted to be a D1 athlete, and if I had my way, that's what would have happened. But that's where I ended up, and I made the most of it, and good things happened because of it. So if you're in a situation right now, whether it's professionally, personally, athletically, where you do not enjoy where you're at, your plan has fallen apart, don't freak out, don't give up, make the most of that current situation, and you'll be amazed what good can come from it. And with that being said, maybe you are in a situation where you hate your job, it's not a good fit, it's really wearing on you, and you do need to change. But realize that while you're looking for that new opportunity, you are still in your current situation. But while you're there, make the most of it. You may be able to grow as a person, you may be able to have a positive impact on others, or you may be able to make a difference within your career or whatever the situation is, and turn that bad situation into a good situation. So wherever you are at right now, however your plan for life is falling apart, like John Wooden, make the most of that situation, and you will be amazed how you can turn a bad situation into an incredible situation.